Welcome back, fellow armchair generals. This is Gamer 1745 here with a special episode of WarPlan. But before we get into that, if you haven't already, if you're new here, please hit that subscribe button. And of course, I always appreciate it if you would hit the like button as well. All right, the special episode I was asked by one of the viewers is to sort of cover the top bar up here. And so if he's having, I do presume from my stats, 99% of you are male, so it's he, I presume, just from that, as well as the name, but we won't get into that. One of the explanations for some of the stuff on the top bar. And if you have any questions, I will do my best to answer them. If there's something I don't know, qualified to answer. If you're having the question, I'll contact Alvaro and see if he can get an answer here, because he definitely wants to help viewers. So we're going to look at this top bar. First, we're gonna look here. We're gonna start over here, but we're gonna look at build. This is where you build armies. You click on the two. Currently, Italy and Germany are the only two nations we control. Obviously, you play on the other side, and as neutrals come into the war, you can add them there. You know, army builds, navy builds, air force builds, support builds. We're not going into all of this today. The one significant UI complaint I have is that the deployment mechanism is over here. And that's fine for actually wanting to deploy the units onto the map, that it's this button. What I don't like is I can't see what is already in a production queue. So I can't see, oh, do I have any armored cores in production? No, I have one. Oh, okay, I got one, so I don't want to do another one. You know, I'm constantly jumping back and forth, and you'll probably see me between those two. I wish there was just an added window here. And buttons, setting deployment up different than production, can very legit have its own button. I would just want an addendum that would change based on what country I have selected as to what in that country's production queue. But that is, I think, my most significant real sort of complaint about the UI user interface here. But so this is production. The main thing that deals with or controls production here is your stockpile. I don't know what you want to call this, steel or coal or whatever. It's various things, I think. Oil really is here, but it affects operations. So if you're not doing much, you're stockpiling oil. If you're moving armored units, sailing ships around, and doing aircraft operations, you're burning oil. So you just that's sort of here. Manpower obviously also affects, if you're running out of manpower, you can't build more units. And shipyards limits the amount of ships you can currently have in production. And I've added two just because of maybe a little overuse early on, trying to do transports, landing ships, and merchant marines and escorts, getting all of them in production all at once, sort of overdoing that maybe, but it doesn't limit the amount of ships or ship type units you have, but just in production at any one time. This is going a little deeper into production, but hopefully specialty production. Actually, I'm not quite sure on that, but I don't know that we need to cover that now. Okay, convoys. This is all of your sort of convoys that are operating, which can be dealing with, like with Sweden, which we're getting Swedish steel coming in, but also like Romanian oil. And we can set up a convoy to like trade with Italy, and as we get more nations under our control, we can add sending off whether convoys across the sea or convoys over land to supply resources to some of our minor allies. So we'll get into more of that as time goes on. Advancements. These are just the tech advancements for these types of things. Assault for infantry units, or improving escort fighters, or improving warships. These are I think the current year model that we can do. This is what we're investing to improve and how many days we want to. But say if you want to do more ships and you don't want to do naval air, you can reduce this down and increase it over to ships if you wish. And then of course you can, and as you conquer more things, you get more research centers. And we can look over at Italy. So there. The war panel. Now I've just turned on diplomacy. I think there was a minor diplomatic bug early on, so I didn't use it in my last playthrough. We're going to experiment with this now, and it has been recommended as highly desirable to not have it turned on. We're turning it on. From the reason Alvaro stated, it's designed to sort of be sort of have the game locked into the historical path, is how it's been designed to happen. We can see and yes, I'm going to compare this to other games because it's a valid thing to do, to the other sort of extreme, Hearts of Iron IV, where, oh yeah, the USSR, or the US is going to go communistic and ally with the USSR in a war against the capitalist nations of the earth. What? No, that wasn't likely to happen in 1936. So their what ifs go, way beyond the entirely unimaginable happening Man in the High Castle what ifs. We could get into more of that some other time. But, it goes into, Fruit Loop territory, in my opinion. That's on the other extreme. This is the opposite. This is, hey, this will happen when under certain circumstances, kind of thing. And that isn't bad, because that does sort of represent to a large degree reality. But I wouldn't say it's close, but it is a practical thing to say, oh, Germany pressures Spain into the Axis. That to me is a practical thing that could have happened. Not likely under the current historical conditions, but especially if you saw a defeat of Britain. Then I could see, Spain being offered Gibraltar as the settlement terms, maybe being offered, all of French Morocco, and okay, we can talk about that. Or the other way, instead of defeating Britain, you actually, defeat the Soviet Union. I can see reasonable conditions for diplomacy there. And Turkey is kept out of the war here. And well, what if you get Turkey into the game? Well, some of the, I know where Alvaro is sort of thinking, and because we have a similar background, is that the games that we started with, Switzerland was just, not on the map. It was just, unattackable hexes. So it's sort of locking in things a little much, in my opinion. We're going to play it because I want to see about mainly trying to push the Vichy, or some of the Vichy colonies, particularly Syria, into the German Axis. And not in a programming sense, but I could sort of help in a design sense, is the idea of having nations like Turkey fight against any pushing into the alliance. Now, we did, of course, see Italy enter the war on the Allied side. I think it was in 1945, but very late in the war. And I would say mainly that was to make sure that they were on the Western Allied side and not to sort of accidentally get gobbled up by the Soviet Union, or maybe large chunks of their territory gobbled up by the Soviet Union, as opposed to any great desire to, fight Germany. But so we're going to be playing with diplomacy, mostly for you, just you declaring war on people. Reports. This is like if you want to look at like sort of beginning of your turn reports. But what was that? What fleet has no supplies kind of thing, and we can check that out or whatever. So that's reports. Combat logs. Current airfield strikes, losses. Quite honestly, I'm just not interested in it. It's just sort of my mindset that, how many, battles have we fought, or how many units have been, lost or something. I'm just, not overly interested. But if you're the type of person, this is where you're to find them. And again, here we were talking about this is deployment. When you have one of these units that gets to, arrival date is, now, you can hit the deploy button and then pick where you want to deploy it. Okay, so let's kill this. This is control. So if you want to turn off, it's just sort of, I don't know even why it's here. What's the point? But if you don't want to know what nations are controlling what, you can turn it off. I don't see the usefulness. Now this here, which just because I've been playing around with it, it was off, is hexes. If you want to turn it off, if you sort of like this and would prefer to, I'm trying to find a unit that can move somewhere here. You can still sort of see, you don't need the graphical use of the hexes, but I prefer them just sort of, maybe because I'm old and used to the old tabletop war games as well. Okay, logistics. This turns on and off your basic rail and road conditions for the map. I don't see a good reason to turn this off, but hey, if you want to, you can. These roads and railways are vitally important to the game. I just can't see a reason to turn off, but maybe there is one. Supply. Now this just puts on an ugly overlay, so it's why I play with it normally off, but when you need to check something, this tells you supply. 9 is basically the highest outside of, I don't know if it's 10 or higher, supply source hexes, which are these sort of green with a stack of supplies in them. So we can find out where, what the supply levels are. Only covers current. Now some of these areas just get really rugged. Others will be further and further. Like here, we're at 4 strength versus 6 strength of supply, and I doubt there's much difference in the terrain. It's just how far it is from the railways. So turn that on to check out supply. It's vitally important. It covers things like organization levels. Here again, because this is a tutorial episode here. Notice this unit is at 30 strength, and this unit is at 30 strength, but this is at 10 and this is at 5. This is, you can see here, the effectiveness level, or I often call it organization level from other games, is at 86, where this one is at 88%. So you can, again, sort of boost that by boosting supply level by sending a one-time truck, which takes it off of your pool of trucks. So it sort of represents extra supply more than trucks, but yeah, because trucks obviously are more reusable. But you can do that, and of course you can prioritize reinforcements, but that, to my understanding, mostly just deals with if your unit is under strength, but prioritizing use truck supplies to sort of give it uber organization. And I think also your effectiveness level is affected by experience as well. So yeah, we can see that. So that's supply. Now enemy actions, we can turn this on and off here. As you can see, this is during their last turn. We can see some of our intelligence of movement. This is what Intel is giving us. I don't, quite honestly, I don't know if there's units out here or not, and we just don't see them. Obviously, we can see that Oh, diamond units here are just, we know there's something there. That's it. We know there's something there. Here we can tell that there's an infantry unit. We don't know if it's a division, a light corps, a heavy corps. We know that this is turned into a garrison type unit. Eventually there should be like 4 divisions that move here, so either we're not seeing them or they're just not here yet. Trying to sort of hold this. Some of them will be mechanized. I do believe when we notice them move in here, these 2 were mechanized, but right now our intel is not giving us enough information. So I think these airbase symbols are either air bases, which you can put on the map, because you can build an airbase, an airfield, I guess is what they're calling it, allows you to put a an air unit on the map somewhere where you can't normally. So if we, oh no, I want to come here. You see these dark grayed out hexes. Some of them are grayed out because there's already an air unit stacked there, but this is considered not enough developed land for whatever reason, too far from infrastructure, too much in the woods, too much in the mountains, to have an air base on it naturally, normally. If you wish to build, you have a place like that, I don't know, you know, in these mountains, somewhere in these mountains, and you want to, you know, make sure you can get air unit close enough. If you have a few air bases, you can have them there ready to deploy an air base into a hex that can normally not take them. So I'm not sure whether these are air bases, being that they're right at Minsk and you know, major city. I presume you can. So these are probably an air unit, but we're not. That's what I think they are. We're not defining whether, like this one we know is a fighter unit. We don't know whether these are bombers or tactical bombers or whatever. So this is intel. I don't know when it starts to fade out that we just don't see things. But yeah, so that's enemy action. We can have that. That's a good report to sort of have on. Weather, just if you want to turn the weather off. Weather particular, well, for movement, for various things is vitally important. Might as well have it on, and it's conveniently small element taking up the field. I'm going to see if we have any super rain or super snow and rain where it's really bad. We'll have 2 dots of it instead of just 1 drop or snowflake. Units. This is a good one to know to be able to turn off. If you want to see what is under all of this, whether it's terrain or where there's a city, where the railroads run, whatever, you can turn on and off units. Though, of course, you play with them on. This allows you to look underneath things. Trade convoys. This is also vitally important, especially if you're running a submarine operation, you know, warfare operations. You want to put your submarines on a trade convoy, not just out in the ocean. Also, here you can see where Germany, this is Germany and Italian trade convoys, are running. So once you occupy Yugoslavia, boy, I was blank on that for a moment, and if the partisans cut your rail operations temporarily, then it can cut your trade. Now it may divert it to a sea route, which we can sort of see somewhere they can be done. They don't seem to be terribly flexible. There are always along rail lines on land, but I don't seem to be terribly flexible. Meaning I don't think we can, well, I don't know if there's other things like from North Africa to say Italy or something that maybe should be there, but getting other things, or if, say, you're declaring war against Yugoslavia and you're counting on trade moving through Yugoslavia, say if you're Italy or something, I don't know, and not wanting to run trade all the way up to Germany or whatever, I don't know how it will repath fine, but you have to keep that in mind for trade and where you may lose it. Obviously, like here we have our trade running through to the Soviet Union, comes through here. If partisans knock out enough railway, I don't think they will be here, but if they were to do so, we would be cut off from it because it needs to go to your capital. So that's trade convoys, both land and sea. Now this one here, shift key for combat. That turns it on automatically. So if this unit wants to attack this unit here, you're going to get this result. But if you hold down the shift key and oh no, okay, doing it the opposite. This is the one I don't use. Okay, so that's off, right? Okay, so here, no, click here. So if I want to attack this unit, and I had not used this, I had to look this up. So if I want to attack this unit, then I hit shift, and then I select the unit, and then I hit shift, which, why isn't it doing that? Well, now, okay, I guess I have to, see, I'm not used to using this. I have to be selecting this unit here. Oh, we want to undo that. Okay, so if I select this unit here, and if I want to attack this hex here, I hold down the shift button, and it, well, okay, well, here, it will automatically select any of the other units that can do it. So let's come over here, and then for here, because I rolled over that one, so it would automatically bring in all of these units. I don't like this, because maybe I don't want to automatically have all these units attack, because I want to save this unit to its action points to attack somewhere else. Now, this one will lock the control key down. Okay, let's just click off of that. We'll lock the control key down. So when I click on this, and then I select here, well, it's only going to do this, but then if I roll over this one, it does, if I do the rollover, it automatically adds it. So again, let's look here. Here I can come over here and then roll up to here if I want to just add that unit, or I can roll down here. Turn this off, and then you have to hold the control down. You just have to hold the control key down. I prefer that, but if this is a ease of use for you, that's what this sort of does. So these two just are automatically lock down the keys for that. Don't know how that would end up there. Okay, battles. We have no battles recorded this turn. So there's when our turn to show where we've been in battle. Victory objectives. This is a, well, let me get rid of that. Tells you where to defeat France. Take these cities. You don't have to take all of them, but because I know I've won without taking Vichy, but you have to take a formula of them, because they have, as you can see here, 5, 5, 10. I don't know. Well, we can remove the unit here. 25 for Berlin, 20 for Paris, so 20 for Lille up here. So basically, you get Lille and Paris, and I think France will fall. I don't know if you have to take Rome. Is that how you pronounce that? I don't know. But so, and I don't know the formula for require. Maybe you have to take all of them to get Britain or whatnot. Depends on there. Again, you can come back to this war panel, and here you look at morale. I guess now that we've turned on diplomacy, it's at 96. Canada is endless. I've seen the U.S. and Saudi Arabia's endless morale. Greenland, South America, endless morale. So because these are sort of off map, but you can have the morale levels. France has 91, 45. I don't know exactly what that is, as opposed to the full thing. Is that to oh, that I think I understand here. 45 is if you're going to set up Vichy. 91 if you're going to fully conquer it. And I think a similar thing is for Italy, is that if you're willing to allow it to leave the war, switch sides, its current morale is 33. If you're going to need to fight it to the end, it's 63. So I think that's what we're looking at there. And I don't know why one for Turkey versus that, not sure, but that is looking at the victory ones. So if you want to look at that, this is your undo button. It will, I think, function for just moves that quote unquote you can undo. So say we're plunging the panzers deep into the rear and we bump into another unit, we uncover what the strength of another unit is. I don't believe we can undo that, but if we just simply go, oh, I want to move here, and I click here and I go, oh, I want to undo that, boom, it's undone. So it's sort of immediate. This is if you like to toggle through units to, like, see, I don't know, something you haven't found or where is, want to move it. Obviously this toggles in the other direction. This is simply end turn, the help menu. Options, you know, I've turned the music off. I get, this music rubs me the wrong way, I don't know. And then save, and of course quit. So that's the top bar and some other tutorial elements to WarPlan. I hope it is of help. Again, if you haven't already, please subscribe, like the video. It really helps to share it on other media platforms, other forums, like on the Discord forums or others, having you guys share, hey, this is a good tutorial somewhere, really helps. You know, check this out in, I don't know, Matrix forums or others, wink wink, if you want to share them there. I really do appreciate that. And of course, share your comments. Yes, a lot of people are reading Alvaro's comments in the forums, but I will be posting this up on other formats. I hope this comes to Steam sometime soon. I hope, I don't know. But posting at other places that people may not easily find the Matrix forum on, and they can use this to learn from. And I would happily make a second video if you guys have questions. Thanks so much. See you next time for more historical gaming.